Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to thank the committee for the opportunity to speak with you all today, and I'd like to thank the Toni Morrison Society for honoring the memory of Cynthia Hesdra as part of their historic and global bench project. I appreciate all of you for being here. I'm especially grateful to my parents who are here with me. They're two of my greatest supporters and my most beloved heroes. It's my pleasure to talk to you about the life and legacy of Cynthia D. Hesdra. I want to begin by placing her story within a larger context. You are all undoubtedly familiar with the phrase, Black Lives Matter. The phrase has come to represent a contemporary movement to raise awareness about the unequal treatment blacks experience when compared with other groups. The high-profile killings of unarmed black men and women across the country, among other factors, provide evidence to support the claims. The struggle to address the need to recognize the humanity and dignity of all people, regardless of the social groups to which they belong, has its roots in the very foundation of this nation. In many ways, Cynthia Hesdra was at the crossroads of the struggle for civil rights, for human rights, and for social justice. Cynthia Hesdra was born in Tappan, New York, during the very year that the U.S. banned the importation of slaves. In 1808, John and Jane Moore welcomed the birth of their daughter, a woman who would leave her footprints through the annals of Nyack's storied history. John Moore, a man of Native American and African ancestry, was a successful businessman who operated mills in the Spark Hill area. He was business partners with some of Nyack's most well-known landowners, including Peter Depew. John and Jane Moore's daughter would later marry Edward Hesdra, the son of a Virginia planter and free Haitian woman. During their marriage, Cynthia's freedom was purchased. The couple lived on Amity Street in New York City. Cynthia operated a successful laundry business, and she purchased and paid for several properties. The couple later took up residency in Nyack, where Cynthia Hesdra also ran a successful business and owned properties. One of the properties was a station on the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a secret network of people who were willing to pay the ultimate price to help individuals in bondage determined to live their lives as a total person. Nyack was the station between Jersey City, New Jersey, and Newburgh, New York. Nyack was pro-slavery, as were many places in New York and throughout Rockland County. The names of slaveholders in Rockland County are recorded in census documents. For instance, in the 1800 census, it's noted that Stephen Thompson owned 11 slaves, and that John Smith owned 5 slaves. Peter Damaris is said to have owned 4 slaves, while Isaac Blauvelt, John Tallman, and Garrett Tallman owned 1 slave each. This is, of course, not an exhaustive list of slaveholders, rather evidence of the existence of slavery in the county and a window into the number of slaves that each slaveholder was likely to own. By 1820, there were 58 female slaves in the county and 66 male slaves. Were it not for the battle over Cynthia Hesdra's fortune, her commitment to ensuring that the nation live up to its founding creed and professed core values may never have been brought to light. Cynthia Hesdra departed this life in 1879 as one of the wealthiest people in the county. With no evidence of a will, her relatives battled over her fortune in a case that drew a lot of media attention. Cynthia Hesdra's husband eventually produced a will which left everything to him and included a request that Cynthia Hesdra's gravesite be well kept. Cynthia Hesdra's relatives questioned the validity of the will in court. Testimony from several witnesses revealed inconsistencies in Edward Hesdra's many versions about where he found the will. Cynthia Hesdra's relatives even produced expert witnesses who testified that one person likely drafted and signed the will. Cynthia Hesdra's family members identified Peter Stevens as the culprit. Peter Stevens served the people of Rockland County in a number of capacities between the mid to late 1800s, including as police justice in the village of Upper Nyack, an officer representing Rockland in the New York Agricultural Society, as an incorporator of a fire department in Nyack, and also as deputy coroner. The case involving Cynthia Hesdra's fortune was precedent-setting. It was the first time that a New York state law was used which allowed for the comparison of known signatures and signatures that were in question. Ultimately, the judge was not as concerned with Edward Hesdra's many tales about the will, nor was he persuaded by the testimony of the handwriting experts, as they were paid by Cynthia Hesdra's family and would say anything to please them, according to the judge. Most importantly, the judge refused to believe that a man of Peter Stevens' standing in the community would have anything to do with the type of elaborate scheme that Cynthia Hesdra's family described. The ex-slave's fortune was awarded to her husband. Years later, after the death of Edward Hesdra, there was another battle over the fortune, with much of the assets going to lawyers, a few charities, and to the state. Cynthia Hesdra was a phenomenal woman. She moved from being an asset to an owner. There is much that we know about her life and other things that we can only infer. This is due in large part to the fact that Cynthia was, as Carl Nordstrom observed, rich even by white standards, but no special notice was ever taken of her accomplishments. Thanks to the hard work and commitment of so many individuals and organizations, including the Bench Committee, Friends of the Nyack Library, Segis Institute, the African American Historical Society, the Rockland County Ministerial Alliance, the Village Board, the Nyack and Spring Valley branches of the NAACP, the Historical Society of the Nyacks, the Nyack Public School District, Alice and Alicia Crow, Mary White, and Kim Cross. The dedication of the Nyack bench today will change this historical oversight. I am thankful to have had the opportunity to use my skills and continued quest for discovery to bring Cynthia Hesdra's story to life. Her name may not be on the historical marker located on the corner of Main Street and 9W, but her name is now listed among Rockland County's civil and human rights champions. Her name adorns the very street she once walked, and now students throughout the district know of her struggles, trials, and triumphs. I don't have to tell all of you that Nyack is a unique place. Longtime residents and even migrants and recent migrants already know this all too well. At the end of this week, more people will know what makes Nyack special. In addition to the dedication of the Nyack bench today, the Food Network, watched by millions, will highlight the reopening of a local diner located just a few blocks from here. Some of you have seen the promos for the special series where one of the hosts says, "We're restoring the soul of these communities by restoring local diners." I'm a big fan of the Food Network, as I'm sure many of you are too. But I submit to you that the heart and soul of any community, especially this community, cannot be found in a diner. Rather, the heart and soul of a community is found in the people and their willingness to work collaboratively to It's found in the heart and soul of the people who are willing to work collaboratively to do not what is easy, but what is right. We are forever indebted to Toni Morrison and the Toni Morrison Society for their commitment to ensuring that we as citizens of a global community and as inhabitants of this village, state, and nation never, ever forget to remember. Thank you.